Hello, everyone, from wherever you're joining us from across the globe. My name is Mariam Dekoko, and I am super excited to have you here today because the matter we're going to be discussing this afternoon is a very, very serious one. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to be outside this space. So, if you have friends, colleagues, family members, even frenemies, yeah, that you know needs to be in this conversation, start telling them to come online to join this speech because it's going to be an entire movement of its own. Which is why the theme for this year, like you have been told, like I was told, like we all know, no grief for anybody. We are not going to allow anyone. Amodara is literally rolling her eyes. Yes, I can see that.
Through my
But you have to
glasses.
let everybody you know come on this conversation because it's a very big one. And guess what? People in the finance space, yes, this is really for you. But if you're not in the finance space, you're also welcome to come here. Why? Because there are a lot of nuggets, insights, take homes that you're going to take at the end of the day that can really, really help you with this conversation. Now, if you look to my amazing left, I don't know what you see on your screen. If it's the right, then that's fine. You're going to see an amazing woman on Google's. Yeah, she's flipping something. I don't know what. That is the super amazing, talented, brilliant brand strategist that I know for now. Like she's super brilliant. Omodara Adediro, please, can you say something?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miriam. As you went on, I'm like, could she be talking about me? I'm like, okay, yes, she's probably talking about me. Thank you so much. It's good to be here. It's good to see your beautiful face, and it's always great to have a discussion with you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm actually looking forward to today's conversation because it's really something that I have wondered about for the longest time. I've been in finance for almost 10 years. This will be my 10th year. Wow.
Mm, mm.
2024, 2014. My first
Oh, wow.
actual my first post NYSC role was in 2014.
Mm,
I finished NYSC February 14, 2014. So I mean, amazing date, right? For those who
yeah.
use the February 14 date. I don't, or mother, I don't know if you do.
Nah.
So we don't. We're Muslims, alhamdulillah. But just coming back to the conversation, um, it was a bit tricky at that time because I remember trying to see what people do in this space as finance people. I wanted to learn. I'm always somebody that loves to learn. And I'm sure that in the audience, we have a lot of people who also fall into this category. By the way, dear audience, if you have tuned in and you've joined us as at now, please comment in the section where you're joining us from, your name and your location, just those two. So you can say Mariam, United Kingdom, or Modara, Asorok.
Love
so,
it.
so some or the White House, yeah, or Modara White House. I don't know which one her preference is. So just put that in the comments so that we know where you're joining us from. Would be lovely to know who you are and if you could also put what you do because the finance sector is actually very, very broad. I work there and we have different amazing people holding different amazing roles part time, and some people even doing more roles infused into one by virtue of what the job description in their offices, has been upgraded to become. Shout out to our HR that always upgrade our JD every now and then. And if you have HR people in the house, I think it will also be a great one because they also face similar problems like we do. And we're going to get to this conversation. Now, 10 years ago, like I said, I started out on this journey and I really wanted to see what my orgas at the top were doing. How were they able to let people know that they are great accountants or great finance people, great auditors? But guess what? Outside having a LinkedIn profile, literally everybody else was silent, and I always said to myself, there is something that can be done. These people need to come out and speak. And then I got my first role, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to talk about? Do I want
Mm,
to take an entire company's account and publish in on LinkedIn and say, this year we made profit of X to Y? These are not publicly quoted companies. And by
mm,
virtue of doing that, you're exposing your boss or even the firm to different external scenarios that can come back and play on them negatively. And
mm,
because the bulk of our work is really very confidential, very, very strictly confidential. In fact, I know some account rules or mother, I don't know if people have spoken to you about that, now signs non-disclosure agreements
mm,
so that
mm,
whatever they see through the books of the accounts doesn't go out. Even in managing the risk expectation of a firm, which now falls under the purview of some finance finance professionals, but these guys are now like very curated in that space. So we call them risk professionals. They're
Yes.
usually accountants from the start. They can't even come out to talk about the risk that the firm is facing. So they wait until it is about to crystallize
Hmm.
after they have done almost everything that they can do to ensure that it doesn't crystallize, and then they come out and talk about it from
Hmm.
a company's perspective in order to rebuild the brand reputation. Now, are
Hmm.
you seeing how the conversation is going? This is
Yes.
not even this is not even the person coming to say I did XYZ. I was able to not crystallize a risk, whatnot. This is just somebody coming to say, oh, we as a firm were able to mitigate this risk by doing XYZ, and now we're fine, and the consumers and the public can continue to trust us.
Hmm.
So that was how I began to wonder. And I think in the process of wondering, I wandered into the hands of the amazing Omodara, who has always, always been passionate about personal branding and the things around that. I think I would allow Omodara to speak about who she is in 30 seconds. 30 seconds, I'm actually going to do a timer for that. But before I hand over the mic to her, dear audience, if you have joined us, we're going to be talking about personal brand management for finance professionals. Are you a finance person? Do you work within the finance industry or sector? Are you aspiring to come into this amazing sector of ours? Have you ever wondered what you need to do as a personal, in terms of your personal brand management, so that people can see the amazing accomplishments that you can bring to the table? You know that table we keep saying, what do you bring there? So yeah, people need to know what you can bring to that table. But you've always wondered how to go about it because of the nature of the work that you carry on in your day-to-day activities. We would have a moderator talk to us about that. But in the meantime, please use the comment section to tell us your name, what segment or fiction of finance you work in, and where you're joining us from. So, Amodara, who are you?
Okay. Awesome. 30 seconds.
Yep.
Hmm. Okay, so I guess I will just start out from I have about 11 years of experience right now.
Ooh,
Working in different sectors. Started out in entertainment. Interestingly, I tell people that a lot.
wow.
Started out in entertainment, moved to creative. So, also did a bit of writing in there for advertising. And then I moved into core brand management. So I have, worked as a communications manager, as a
Hmm.
communications lead for a ton of brands across different sectors.
Wow.
Technology, the food sector, the entire FMCG. But interestingly, I also have worked with entrepreneurs as well. So I've seen it from different sides of the table,
Yeah.
both the corporates and also entrepreneurs. But what has really led me to this point of personal branding is in my experience working with different organizations and also working with individuals, I found that people always find it really difficult to struggle and put themselves out there. Now, not just everybody, some people are loud. People classify me to be quite outspoken, but
Mhm.
you find people who, even though interestingly, I'm actually an introverted extrovert, but you find people who are purely introverted, but they're doing amazing work. They're doing amazing work in their sectors. Some of them are in sectors like you mentioned, like finance, and they don't know the kind of work that they should put out there. And they also don't want to be all these hype driven people or people who are caught up
Yeah.
dancing on the gram, not to say people can, to each his own, but for some people, they just don't want to go down that route. They just want to do really good work and impact the lives of others. So
True.
these type of people struggle a lot with personal branding. But interestingly, you now find people who are barely doing any work, but they are the loudest in the room. You know how that proverb goes now. Let's not dabble into it too much. It's very unfortunate. So you find that these people start to struggle. So for me, I just wanted to create a balance between the work that you're truly passionate about, your interests, and how these people can then project it if you're not someone who wants to do what everybody else is doing.
Fine.
And I think that people who are in the finance sector also sit under one of these categories.
Yes, we do. We actually sit. We're sitting very well, very tightly. I can tell you that for a fact.
Love it, love it.
Because I have always thought that why should my great work not be known by people? I don't want to shout, like you have
Mm,
said. I don't want to make those loud noises. But I really want that the people who have worked with me or who I have come across during my professional pathway can say that Mariam Dekoko is XYZ. These are the, our very core strengths and areas. These are the areas
Yes.
where we think that she's still growing and she would grow, in an amazing way. These are the stops that we think she can do. But I mean, that's the natural human circle, right? There is something you do very well, you
Yes.
should continue doing. There's something you can do, which you should start doing. And I hope that for those who are on this session today, if you have not started with your personal branding, this is 2024. You cannot agree for anybody. You need to start. Yes, Awadara. You need to start. And if there's something you're doing that is probably you're not doing it right, then you need to stop, relearn, and then do it properly. Now, coming from that angle, people have then come to say, we see you on LinkedIn, Mariam. We see you putting out posts, but you put out posts regarding things that speaks to finance, but is not what you exactly do in finance. And I've always said, well, that is what my current limitation and environment can allow me to do, which is why today I'm going to really allow Omodara to do the talking. I gave her 30 seconds, but if you notice, she did 2 minutes and about 10 seconds. I was timing her. She didn't know. But
Oh my
well,
gosh.
yes, but we're going to allow her speak because I came here with my pen
Mm.
and I have a note. So if you're not with your pen and note, maybe you're the tech people, you have what? A phone that is
Well,
taking notes. That is great. If you're writing on your laptop, please write away. But just make sure that you jot down as many salient points as possible because you really need to get it right. And who better than the people in this space to help us with the challenges that we have faced over time?
yes.
Now, the finance people in the house, if I'm speaking the challenges that you face, please just comment in the chat box. Yes, yes, yes. And if I'm missing out anything, put it there so that we also know that, okay, these are the things that even from your own end is happening now and people need to be aware about it. One of the
Mm.
first that I see in our sector is inability to come out and talk about the things that we actually do in our day to day. Now, a
Yes.
typical finance professional's LinkedIn profile will show you maybe those areas that they are very strong at. Mine says corporate finance, risk, audit, taxation, and I'm also passionate about SMS, MSMEs or NMSMEs. Every day the acronyms
I
keeps
know,
changing.
right? I
SM
know, right?
SMEs, please. If you are in
Hmm.
nano, micro, whatever, SME. SME financing, both for business and personal. And I also love to do things with women, just helping women grow in all the beautiful spheres that their lives can be very colorful. So you see that in my bio, and then you come down and you see where I have worked, and then you see like 3 bullet points, and you're like, okay, how do I hire this girl? Because on her LinkedIn profile, I need to see more than her work experience. I want to see the things that she does. I want to see the impact she's creating. But when you go down my post, you then see me talking about I went to Lagos Business School and I facilitated a session on investment and finance. Okay, amazing. In Faith Foundation, where I currently work, I'm facilitating sessions on business model canvas, value proposition, and finance fundamentals. Amazing. And then you keep going down, you see that this girl talks, she goes to people to teach them about finance. That
Yes.
may not appeal to a potential employer because the employer wants to know that Mariam can review her balance sheet and profit and loss statement of account, the different accounts. She can prepare them, she can review them, she can analyze them, she can come back with
Yes.
strategies, she can build a finance team. She's a leader, she's a manager, she can function with a diverse set of people. They want to see my soft skill, they want to see my
Yes.
technical skills. They want to know that I can hold conversation with different stakeholders, manage revenue, manage taxation, complete an audit seamlessly. But I can't
Yes.
say all these things on my platform and on my post
Mm.
because I can even be sued by my current employer for putting their personal business on
Mm.
public podium.
Mm.
So, finance professionals in the house, what are the challenges apart from being unable to actually talk about what you do in your day to day on your professional platforms? What other challenges do you face? Because you can't come out and talk about somebody's bank balance in public.
Mm.
You can't talk about the revenue and profit except it has been sanctioned by the higher authorities for disclosure. You can't talk about the issues you're facing in taxation because even then, the tax agencies can come and say, oh, you want to make us look like the bad guys, right? We're coming for you, right? So these are a lot of things that we face that we can't talk about them. And I think this is then going to lead me to my first question for Modara. For the people still joining us, if you have not joined, you need to quickly come and join us. If you're still frying something in your kitchen or you're about to have lunch, I think you should put it on hold for now. It's just another 30 to 40 minutes and we'll be done, because we're
Mm,
really getting into the conversation of the day, right?
yeah.
So Mother, I want to then ask you, you've heard about my challenge, which is very similar to what a couple of people, my professional colleagues in this
Hmm.
industry, also face. Now, what kind of content do you think
Yes.
that the people who interact with our professional persona, whether on social media or off social media, what kind of content do you think that they would like to see, or what kind of content should resonate best with them? But remember, it shouldn't impact confidentiality.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that question. So, I mean, one of my approach generally to personal branding is something I call personal branding for impact, and it's different from regular personal branding for a lot of reasons. One, it's sustainable, so you're thinking long term, you're
Mhm,
thinking of your target audience, you're thinking of focus areas, right? Now, I think it's very important for people to understand that personal branding is not restricted to you looking for a new job. I think a lot
mhm,
of times that's the mistake people make. And when they get stuck in that box of it's just because I want to get a new job, they only do things when they want a new job or when they
mhm,
want to change their jobs or when they want to get a promotion. But a lot of I find it interesting that you see a lot of headhunters that can actually tell the difference between people who have built a solid foundation and have grown over time in
mhm,
comparison to people who are just doing things for the short term, right? Now,
mhm,
first of all, I agree with you. One of the very first things we must do is to maintain confidentiality. There's a specific part of my course that speaks to privacy controls, if whether or not you're a finance professional. I'm not one
mhm,
of those people who believe that everything that's going on with your children should be on Instagram. I don't think it's necessary. Or it should be on LinkedIn. I don't think it's necessary. Sometimes people maybe find a way around it, but I always ask these people, have we sought their permission? It's the same thing when you're coming into the finance industry. Now, let's go back to focus areas.
mhm,
One of the most important reasons why you must have a focus area is why you must have different focus areas is that it gives you the wriggle room to swerve. What do I mean
mhm.
by that? Let's take Mariam, for example. You teach, right?
Yes.
All the work that you do in your teaching alone, if it's taken and it's reshaped and put into content, it already makes you stand out as a finance professional. If you didn't
Mm,
know what you were doing, you won't be able to be teaching high growth entrepreneurs,
true.
right?
Yeah.
Now, in addition to that, we also know that you might not be able to reveal company information, which is great. However, the person that you're working for can give a recommendation which
Mhm.
you can use on LinkedIn,
Yes.
right? Now, why this course is also focused on personal branding for impact, or rather, before I even start talking about the course, why I take that approach is also because I push people to realize that if you get into an impact based mindset, you will do work that will benefit you and be
Mhm.
beneficial to others.
Other
So
people.
let's give an example. If there's one thing we know about the finance industry, as you said, it's very broad. We have
Yeah.
taxation in there, we
Yeah.
have audits in there, we have risk in there, we have so many things in there. We have even in fact, your experience can even lend to helping people to manage their personal finances, for
Yep.
example, right? It's
Yep.
very broad. Now, if you commit to being the one that breaks down financial jargons to the layman, does it not set you apart as a
Mm.
finance professional? So you see what I'm
Nugget.
saying about once you take that impact mindset, it shifts you away from, oh, I just want somebody when they come to my profile, let them just see I've done this balance sheet, I've done that. And it moves you to a point where you're consistently creating work that is beneficial to you, beneficial to others, and creates a track record that you can use. Let's give an example also for people who are in my industry. The truth is, there's some things you can talk about because you have campaigns, but they're not, you can't go into like really the nitty-gritty of maybe the challenges you had on a brand, or maybe you won't go and be saying things like they were supposed to do a 10,000 naira job and they only had 5k, for example. You won't expose things like
Mhm.
that. It's how it works.
Yeah.
But for example, one of the things I do is I volunteer at Faith Foundation. At Faith Foundation, I teach and I write.
I know.
Trust me, trust me, my CV has Faith Foundation in it. When I write my profile, the work I've done at Faith Foundation alone is great for my profile. It's great to solidify my expertise as a communications professional.
Person.
But I wouldn't have had that if I didn't decide to give back to entrepreneurs. So people really need to broaden their perspective of personal branding and move it away from I have a great headshot, my LinkedIn profile
Mhm.
looks like this, and move it to a point where what impact can I have in my industry? Every industry has their challenges. Every industry has their associations. Every industry has different societies. What role are you playing in those societies? This can be through writing, this can be through speaking, this can be through
Mhm.
facilitating. How are you helping people to match their skills in a way that they can come into this industry? So you see that there's so much that you can do. And from
Exactly.
that work that you can do, it can then validate your own profile as a professional. So we don't even need to touch confidential information at
At
all.
all.
I keep saying that some of the people who have had the most impact on my life are actually finance professionals.
Yeah.
Finance professionals, including you, by the way. Finance professionals, for me, they taught me how, if I have 1 million naira in my account and maybe there's devaluation or there's kiniko, I'm poor the next month, you shouldn't just be saving,
Exactly.
you should be investing. I didn't know these things before. Finance professionals, they taught me so much about accountability, about how to manage my affairs, about transparency. I remember a risk and an audit person that would say always, his mantra to me was always he's like, Dara, you send emails, some people might not like it, but I will encourage that you always send these emails. And I'm like, why? He said, because from a risk point of view, I can tell you that the work that you're doing is not for your now, it's for your
Yes.
future. He said, and
Yes.
so when somebody just brings up that case in 30 years, you too, you have your record somewhere. A finance professional taught me that. Somebody who was in risk. So for me, there's so much value that you can bring beyond the
What your
confidential
day to day
information
is.
that you're not able to share. Exactly.
Oh, thank you. I mean, when you were saying all of that, I was just like, check, Mariam, check. I have recommendation. Check. I'm going to ask for more recommendations. Check. I was just so happy with myself, like, yes, so, yes, so. But I also took a lot of nuggets back from what you're saying. The long term
Yes.
is important. We can't do things because we think, oh, I'm tired in my current job. I need a raise. I need to move. I need somebody else to see me. It has to be long term. And that is even speaking to what a friend of mine, I'm going to call her name. Hopefully, she's on this session and she's watching Maria Madebola. She did tell me about a month or two ago. She said, my LinkedIn platform is really, I see it as a footprint of what I have done
There you
and
go.
what I have done over a period of time. And now I think that what I have done now can find some value in the nearest future. If you see your LinkedIn in that way, when potential employers in that very far future even comes back to your LinkedIn and they keep going down, they're going to see enough footprint to say that this person is our guy. And we want this
Absolutely.
person to be on that table that we all want everybody to make.
Absolutely. I mean,
And so,
Mariam, yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Come in,
Yes,
Amodara.
just to jump in, as we know, it's when you're like entry level, mid that you're hustling and whatnot. Once you start getting to senior levels in any organization,
Mm-hmm.
people already expect that you know the basics and you know the
Yes,
mid work. They're
yes.
beginning to employ you for things like your character, integrity. What else do you bring to the table? So
Table.
somebody will see a Miriam and say, apart from the fact that she does her finance work, I need her on this team because she's open minded. I need her
Mhm,
on this team because she can represent us in different countries.
mhm,
You see what I mean? And that's
mhm,
why it's so important for us to broaden the scope of what personal branding is and move it from I'm just showing off to I'm making a difference.
hmm. I think, sorry, I need to let that sink in for 2 seconds. Song. I love that. I love that. And I think that's one of the mistakes that a lot of people set out to do at the early stage. They feel that personal branding is talking about what you do in your job. Dear people, dear audience, dear listeners, I hope you're getting the gist. The gist is that your personal branding is not about what you do in your day to day, it is about who you are, connected to the impact you like to make. But the easiest hanging or lowest hanging fruit is that what you do in your day to day to help you drive that impact. But in addition to that, would then be all the other things that you have found interesting, that you're passionate about, and that you know
Absolutely.
you can do with your eyes closed. So rethink your personal branding again from this moment henceforth and take it away from what should not. be seen in public. You know what
Yes.
should not be seen in public. You know what should not be seen in public. I shouldn't tell you. We know what you should not be putting on in public. So think about
Absolutely.
it again. And this just brings me to somebody is watching. She's my mentor. I like the fact that she just sent me a message and she's doing like several thumbs up. Mrs. Tonya Aralepo. She's somebody I have learned
Well,
from. And people like this, if you go to their LinkedIn profile, you see the various impacts that they have given to several categories and groups of people and institutions, from religious places of worship to places where they think that the focal group area needs intervention, to those who are already doing well and they just want
absolutely.
to deepen network and make meaningful connections, to even just doing her things globally across the world. And today she stands to hold a position that allows her to enter different places across the world in the
There
things
you
that
go.
she do. And she is a finance person.
There you
People,
go.
she is a finance person. Never for once
There
that she
you
come
go.
to say the bookkeeping of this firm is XYZ and I prepared it. Now, it also takes us back to what Omodara has been saying. Shout out to Mrs. Toyin Aralepo, by the way. I mean, super, super amazing woman. And shout out to our facilitator on today's session. Thank you so much for letting us know that personal brand management isn't about the work that you do. See the way I'm emphasizing it. It's about the person that you are. Now, Omodara mentioned something and she said, can you break down finance jargons to people who are not in finance? That's even a starting step. That's a stepping stone to start from. Can you think about some things that are like myth, for example, that people have believed over time and help them to demystify it? Let them know that
Abs-
these are not things that are actually in reality, they don't occur, but this is how they occur. Can you write short articles? Can you create short content? Can you help people, understand little tips about budgeting? As simple as budgeting can be. Some people don't even know what a budget looks like. Can you create a template and share with your network? When people begin to see value in the things that you do, then the employer will see even bigger value in the things you can bring to that table. Remember that that table is already there and waiting for you. And remember the stage of your professional journey. If you are beginning to ascend to senior management roles, like Omodara said, people no longer want to know if you can prepare a balance sheet. Well, we now call it statement of financial position. So let me use the actual terms before my professional people will come for me and
No,
say, Mariam, what is balance
yeah.
sheet? But for the guys that are not in our industry, they know it as balance sheet, right? Nobody wants to
Yes.
know if you can resolve, if you can calculate pay taxes, because you obviously should know how to do that. So they're looking at your soft skills. They're looking at other things you can. Can you do strategy? Have you done strategy before? What was the project you worked on? Now, this conversation is even making me remember something I spoke to my colleague about some months back. And I said, I've done a lot of projects over time where I was a project manager and I didn't come in as a finance project manager. I came in, I did strategy, I did concept notes, I looked for themes, I looked for speakers, we organized the event. People of certain cadre and genre got value and they went home. One of the major events I did in 2022 had about 2,000 women, professionals and business women in that
Wow.
room. They learned
Wow.
from different speakers and they went home. Last year, I did for about 4,500 Muslims at the Co Hotel, right? I was a project manager. Can I put this on my LinkedIn platform, Omodara? Can I? So I'm going to put this into another question for you. Can I put projects like this on my LinkedIn platform to show that yes, outside of finance, I'm able to create impacts like this? Because guess what? Even in finance, there's strategy. Even in finance, there's project management.
Absolutely.
Even in finance, there is M&E. Even in finance, there is impact and monitoring. Finance people, if I'm not saying the truth, this is an open platform. Tell me and let everybody know that I'm not saying the truth. Even in finance, there is audit of oneself, audit of one's behavior, audit of what has happened, audit of external factors, and then you rebuild on that audit and then you come back to a final or a modified strategy. So, there are two things. Can I bring things like this onto my personal branding to showcase for people? And in line with that question would then be, I'm a finance person, right? And this is my professional journey. From where
Yes.
you sit, which parts or what parts do you think that people would resonate the most with? What do you think that people really want to see? You've been in communications for a long time and you know
Yes.
what people want to see. Yeah. So for finance people, what do you think people really want to see from us so that we also know and we build on that?
Okay.
Free
Which
nuggets, please.
which
Let them
which
drop.
which which one do you want me to respond to first?
Anyone.
Okay, so I'll first of all start with what do I think people want to see? Because I'm so happy that you said, you've been a communications professional for a while, because one of the most important things when it comes to communications, whether you're doing it for individuals or you're doing it for organizations, is that you must understand your target audience. And your target audience determines what you're going to do. So, for example, if you're someone who wants to focus on helping people who are coming into the industry, then your work is more of like a starter pack. These are the things that you need to know. These are the skills that are valuable. These are the things that will help you move ahead. If you're somebody who is focused, who your target audience is focused on, for example, demystifying financial jargons, then most of your content is, around, you're breaking down very difficult things. You're looking at laws and you're saying, how does it apply to the everyman? I'll give a very good example. You will see that people ask on Twitter or whatnot, that explain this law to me. You're like, you're explaining to a 5-year-old, and you see a professional who
Yes.
just breaks it down. So that can be your style. If you're someone, and it goes on. So it's
Mhm.
really about who your target audience is. Your target audience determines what you're going to do and what you're going to put out there. So let's
Mm.
give an example of somebody like a Bismarck Rouhani now. We know that every year we have the projections of the year that he does, right?
Yeah.
The economic outlook, and
Mm-hmm.
he shares it. Some of us, that's what we used to set our whatever strategy for the year.
Goals.
I mean, so many people use it,
Yes.
but so many people use it to set like their financial projections and whatnot for the year. We see that his target audience is very different, because a
Yeah.
layman might not be able to pick that up and make sense of it. So for some people who their work is very high level, they're seeing that, okay, we have industry challenges, and that's what they want to go after. You see
Mm-hmm.
them doing high level work like that. So I think it's very important for us to understand who our target audience is, because that determines what we will do. Now, in order not to make it too complicated, I'll also throw in there that it's you can also have a primary and a secondary target audience. I'll, however,
Mm-hmm.
advise that, because a lot of us are professionals or entrepreneurs, where we have a huge challenge, and that challenge is time. We don't have all the time in the world. So
True.
because of that, I would advise that we make it as streamlined as possible. As you know, as you create, and this is something that goes into my course, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but I'll first of all put it out there. As you create, the thing is, I always advise people that, create original content. And
Content.
that's why I like what you mentioned around, you can write articles, you can do podcasts, whatever.
Makes
Because the
sense.
beauty of these things is that you can always pick them up and turn them into very different formats. Once it's original work that research has gone into, data has backed up, there are good perspectives, it's relevant, it stands the test of time, you can always pick it up and use it for something later on. So that speaks to what kind of work should we put out there. Now,
Mm.
and just by the way, I just want to throw it out there that till date, people are still struggling with Excel. So finance professionals, help us.
Ah,
Till date, people are still, so that's something that someone can do. Now to the other
true.
question, about showcasing different sides of you, like what I think the question was around what should go on your LinkedIn profile and what shouldn't. You had a one Uma event, should you put it there? Yes. Now, when you build a personal brand for impact, and it's one of the things that I also go through in my course, is at the beginning, I always want people to be very clear on their intentions, their objectives for why they're doing this, and then move to their focus areas. So I try to make sure that they don't pick a focus area that's less than one, and they
Mm-hmm.
also try to make sure they have at least three. Now, these three things, they can be in different spheres, they can be in different they can be under different things, right? So for
Mm-hmm.
example, you can say maybe you're very passionate about education, so that's one of the things that I'm picking up. But if I pick up education, it doesn't mean that I'm going to go and teach physical education in a primary school.
Yeah.
It means that as a finance professional, I apply that to education, right? So that means
Yes.
if I'm doing education, I'm doing financial education.
Education.
And then my target audience now determines if the financial education is at an industry level, if it's at a
Mm-hmm.
novice level, or if it's for the layman,
Informal.
informal,
Yeah.
and then
Unstructured.
you also go into
Exactly.
formats.
Yes.
Miriam, you're very familiar with formats.
Yes.
This be is it a podcast I want to start? Do I want to start out a blog? Even apart from blogs, I can tell people that a lot of times people are very close-minded. They just think of LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. There are a
Mm-hmm.
ton of other platforms that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking to the one Uma, I really love how you said, you did a lot of project management and you did a
Yeah.
lot of strategy.
I
And that
did.
is relevant to the work that you're doing. So can you showcase that on your LinkedIn profile? Of course.
Hmm.
Because as we know, there's not one person. I barely know. I don't think I know anybody that's, for example, the only thing they do is maybe HR and they don't do anything else, right? There are
Yes.
different
Oh.
sides to us as an individual. So it's okay to showcase that. It's just that as you showcase it, you want to be careful to not come off as, let's say, maybe like you don't want to position yourself, like you want to be careful, you don't want to position yourself as something that you're not. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, if you've identified that, oh yes, you're sitting in education, but you also have some flares, some flair for strategy, project management, it's okay, it's relevant to the things you do, so you look for how to write it. But you don't, for example, say, oh, you're doing that and then maybe you're also trying to be, what random example, you're also trying to say, oh, and we showcased the food and we put rice next to ice cream. You
Ah,
don't start
oh,
coming off as like a
please.
caterer. So where the direction of your personal branding comes in, and your personal branding for impact, is that you want to streamline it to the things that are relevant to the work that you do and the areas that you've chosen. And then the most important thing is that you must always ask, of what benefit is this to anyone? That's
Hmm.
where the impact comes in. So let's not just be people who just talk and just share things that are not relevant. Let's always ask ourselves, if somebody reads this, will it make a difference in their lives? Will it inspire them to do something? Will it make them take action? Will it make them see that there's some gap in this industry that we need to fill? You need to be able to do that so that your work is purposeful, it stands the test of time, and it's not just regular social media yapping.
Hmm. Hold on, please, guys. I need to come back to earth. I was writing so much, and then I remembered when Omodera said at the beginning that people usually watch the videos and come back and ask questions. Excuse me,
Yes.
ma'am. Permission to come back and ask questions after watching this video again.
No.
Yeah, forget I'm the moderator. But those were some very hardcore nuggets. Seriously? Did anybody feel the heat, or am I just the only one feeling it? Those were just so good. Thank you so much for even giving me pointers. In mind, I'm just thinking to how I'm going to go back to my 2021 project and say, hello, hi, I'm back. I want to write about this.
Love it,
You
love
want to
it, love it.
proofread it before I send it out, or would you rather I just send out my thing and tag you? Because I did the work and I'm not imposing, right? But it's
Yes.
also very important that we see these things and not to be too scattered. And that was one of the things I took away from what you said,
Yes.
which is very important. I can't be finance today and a food blogger tomorrow, and next tomorrow I'm
Yes.
a child. I'm talking about how to do parenting, and then
Yes.
another day I'm coming back to say, okay, yes, let's come back to Excel. Yeah, people are going to get confused, really. And there's really so much to what each of us can do as an individual that can come back to sync in a unified way. So,
Yes.
yes, you really need to think about that, dear finance professionals. And I hope that you're getting a lot of insights from this
Yes.
conversation. I hope that you're enjoying this conversation. I am enjoying it. I am so happy that I'm here today for this free session. Well, Omadara gave me a task, funnily enough. She said I should talk about success stories. And I'm thinking about it in my head. Well, one of the things I have also learned is that there is a success story right now happening. It just may not
Mm,
have materialized right now. But when I then
mm.
look back at what has happened today, it is actually a combination which has communicated from what I have been doing since like 7 years ago. And that has become something that is successful today. For example, my work at Faith Foundation probably has thrown light on my
Yes.
personal branding. And I won't even use the word probably, I will say it did really, really throw light on what I do in my personal brand. That organization did give me a platform to be able to explore some of my strengths that I didn't even know existed at that time. And then they also gave me the ability to make the mistakes, not in as a finance person, in other areas. So you see me speaking today, moderating the session, hosting events. I really got to do a lot more of that because Faith Foundation gave me the ability to use some of their own platforms to be able to do that. So sometimes even just looking and finding the people that believe in you, the people that are allowing you to use their resources can be very, very helpful in knowing the path that your personal brand can tow. And then sometimes you may start out on something and it doesn't work. It's okay to leave it and go, really. And I think Modera should even quickly chip in on that. Can I start on something if it's not working? Can I leave it and go, and then come back? Maybe leave it and go forever, or come back and see if I can tweak it some way. Do you want to quickly say something to that in 1 minute?
Yes, please, can you take that again? Sorry.
So I was saying that it's fine. I was saying
Yes.
that if I start out on a particular part for my personal branding and I feel that it's not working, can I like leave it and maybe not come back to it forever, or come back at a later time and find a way to tweak it? Does it work?
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. You know what I find from my experience in communications is it's the creator that worries. So the creator is always worrying. Oh, I'm doing this. Is it relevant? Oh, this is not what I wrote yesterday. Quite
Hmm.
frankly, people don't follow our journeys that closely. And they accept us for who we are more than anything. As long as we don't, and that's why it's also important the kind of approach that we take to these things. I try to tell people that let's all showcase ourselves as people who are learning on this journey and not people who bring other people down. And that's why another core component of personal branding for impact is also compassion and empathy. I tell people, I steer them away from being people who are not compassionate. We all complain about toxic bosses, but if you look at it, a lot of times we grow up to be the people that we complain about. So it's very important that there's a lot of compassion and empathy in the work that we do, so we're not talking down to people. It's people who
Hmm.
talk down at people that they have challenges changing, because that's when you will now be, hey, but I pushed myself as investing after sliced bread, hey, how do I go back on that? But as long as that was not the direction, honestly, we evolve, we change, and that's okay. I just wanted to acknowledge someone, please. I'm not really sure why we're not seeing the comments from LinkedIn directly. We should be seeing
Uh-huh.
them from LinkedIn. But I want to give a major shout out to Rukoya. She has been here for a bit as well. And she also has some comments. She said who you're connected to, who you like to be, rethinking your personal branding to what you don't want the public to see.
Hmm.
She also spoke about, the importance of, she was like, oh, yeah, that's true. That's where character comes in. And honestly, that needed to sink. So thank you, Rukoya, for joining us. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. I'm switching in between screens since we can't see it. So I'll
Yeah.
be able to see it and I'll bring it to Mariam's attention. Thank you for
Thank you
joining us.
so much, Amodara. Thank you. Like she said, if you have questions, please. But I was wondering why, from my own end, I wasn't seeing anything. But I mean, thank God we have
Yes.
people who are still dropping those nuggets. Please drop. If I'm sure you can hear me, even if I can't see what you're dropping. Drop one thing that has resonated with you on this conversation. Just one in the chat box, and let us know what it is, so that we know that yes, you're following this conversation. On the basis of shouting out, I also want to shout out to somebody who has really helped me in my current work. So I think it's also important that what you do, if whether you're a finance person or not, the people that you
Yes.
work with, or most especially the person that you report to, can also help you to fine tune what you can put out on your personal brand. So
Absolutely.
my boss at Fit Foundation, Adenike Adeyemi, she's very big
Woo!
about talk
We
about
all love
yes.
her.
I need to give her the flowers, yeah, on this
We all
call.
love her.
She's very big about talk about the things that you do. Let people know about it. How you talk about it is now left for you, right? How do you want to talk about it? Where do you want to talk about it? In what ways do you want to talk about it? But then she would also tell you very nicely that in talking about it, you should also know what you should talk about and what is not meant for the public eye. So that also helped me. And so when I come back to tell her, I love facilitating sessions. I want to write articles for MSME. She's like, who is holding you?
Hmm.
These are
Hmm.
platforms for your usage. Use them because I can't. Yeah, so I think yes, that's Omodara's comment. I was going to say I can. I think I can see comment from the audience now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So major shout out to Adenike Adeyemi Faith Foundation Executive Director. She is always big on that, and I think everyone should also do this. Pay it forward. I want to pay it forward to the people that I work with or that I come across. If there's something amazing that you're doing, and I think you should talk about it, I will let you know to talk about it. But talk about it. Omodara has talked about how we should be able to separate, filter, segregate. I don't know what other synonyms to use. Confidential information from what can be on a public platform and what public platform, because there are so many of them. And that is now
Yes.
bringing me to my last question. Ma'am, Ma'am Omodara Adediran, you are the pro in this conversation. What are the emerging technologies or platform that would play a role in how we shape our personal brand as finance people? Because yes, when I think about platforms, or and I don't think tech, sorry, because when I think tech, I remember AI, data analytics, and it's
That's what I
already
was gonna
very
say.
scary. Yes. So, but of course, there are technologies or platforms that we can use, and this is not just Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and stuff. But what other platform, what other technologies do you think people like us, like me, my professional colleagues can use that would make this our personal brand to be like branding, it's a personal brand
Awesome.
properly. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you. That's a good question. So I will start off with the fact that we also have platforms. I would answer this in two ways. One, we can use some of the platforms that we're already using in a different way. And two, we can also explore other platforms and like emerging technologies. So, first of all,
Mm.
LinkedIn, for example, a lot of people just focus on the posts, but you can write articles on there as well, right?
Yeah.
You can do a live session like we're doing now. You can also do audio sessions, right? So sometimes this can be, we have somebody on this session as well, Agbon's major shout out to her. She does these she does this digital series. It's like an audio podcast, that she does on LinkedIn. She does it on a weekly basis, and she has been pretty consistent, right?
Mm.
It's so that's a way that you can use LinkedIn. You find people who also have like newsletters, articles that are solely on LinkedIn that you can also use. Now, in addition to that, you can also explore platforms like Medium. There's Medium as well. You can write on
Mm.
Medium. There's Substack. You can use Substack as well. There are a lot of platforms that you can do other things on that are not necessarily, oh, you're just doing posts. To be
Mm.
honest, I feel like writing a random post is the easiest thing to do, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
with personal branding for impact, I try to get people to dig deeper. You can imagine if you put together a brilliant article. I mean, let's take, for example, the sheer amount of the quality of the articles that go out on the MSME Hub by Faith
Yeah.
Foundation. Those are articles that if you pick up, you can use them for 10 LinkedIn posts. In
Yes.
fact, YouTube video, you can do it on there. Podcast, you
Yes.
can start it. So
Yes.
that's why it's important that we start to think really big in how we create the things that we create. Because if we look at them in that big light, then we can then use it for the smaller stuff that we have. Now, in addition to that, I also want to bring in another leg that people forget. You
Mm.
see, a lot of times people just want to look great on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Medium, or whatever. How about all the offline platforms? You spoke
Aha.
about a conference that you manage. That's a great place to deliver value. For some of
Mhm.
us, it's just in our offices. I remember 2, 3 years ago, I was in an office and we put together these knowledge sharing sessions. They were amazing. We'll finish, we'll condense it, put it on Slack. People can go there, they read it. It's
Mm.
value for our colleagues. So knowledge sharing sessions is a form of putting out your content for personal branding. A lot of times we just think about the things that make us look good. But what about the things that are more difficult to do? There was a time in my life when I used to wake up every morning, Saturday morning, after I observed my prayers. I can't, you know how everybody sleeps back after Subuhi during the weekend?
Yes.
I
Yes.
couldn't sleep back because I had to be in Makoko. It wasn't fun.
Mm.
I'll go there, they have to open the door, wait for them, then get the children to listen. But I wanted to
Mm.
teach them and I had to do it, right? A lot of people till date do not believe that I was not a staff of Slum to School. They always believe that I was a staff because of the sheer amount of work that I put in there. So that is difficult stuff to do that creates impact. And it's
Mhm.
impact you can write about. I can write, in fact, whenever I'm applying for anything, if I put a phone call through to the guys or something, they will write me a referral or whatever, or a recommendation because
Mhm.
they know the work that I have done. So let us also think about these offline platforms as well. Look at radio as well. There are lots of people who are looking for people to come and contribute by way of the
Oh,
knowledge they have in
sorry.
their from their experience. Those are platforms that we can use as well. So let's not be stuck on it has to be a LinkedIn profile or it has to be a Facebook post. Let's really broaden. Let's ask ourselves, where can this value be driven? We've spoken about associations as well. There's so much we can do in these associations, so much we can do in these societies. Let's go in there, let's dig deep, let's do the work that needs to be done and use it to build personal brands that will make a difference in the lives of others.
Hmm. Okay, I'm just going to touch briefly on when I had to do an article for on my first ever, which still remains my only article on MSME Up. The editorial associate has reached out severally. She's my party. She was like, Maria,
Yeah,
more articles
we
because the
go.
article gave people a lot of insight. There were a lot of
There you go.
engagement. And what did I write about? I actually used my friends. So both of them are my friends. The founders of U Visuals, Tunde Egbayelo and Eric
Yeah.
Ikena. I actually used them as my case study in that article. We had done a strategy session and I had talked about, because my role at Face Foundation evolved to include investment, which I naturally also had a passion for. So I immersed
Yes.
myself into finding strategies for investment for firms, not for
Yes.
personal usage. But because I've done personal usage for a long time, I am big on investing as a person, so I speak to my friends about that and share my nuggets with them. So I decided to take
Yes.
it one step further and do for businesses. And so when the opportunity came at fit to expand my role into investment manager, and I just took it
Yes.
and I'm like, yeah, love it, going for it. I think that also comes again to when you speak to you people you work with, especially those that
Yeah.
the upward what you call it now. So there's the horizontal and the vertical one.
Oh,
The people
yes.
up where you report to, if you talk to them about the things that interest you, they will find the opportunities that works and connect. That
I'm
was what
telling you.
Adenike did. Adenike found the opportunity, connected me to it, and said, "You love investment, right? Let's bring investment into your role. Use that as a whatever to build your love
Yeah.
for investment." And I started doing that, and that led to my
Absolutely.
first MSME Hub article. And I
There
used
you go.
individuals as a case study. We did the strategy session. I had to do from my research. I gave them so many things that they could use. Tunde and Eric are very fantastic people. They are always very open to learn. So they started to adopt those strategies and they brought them back and we would review and would take out because we'll do a lot of SWOT and personal analysis and say, at this current economy, it's no longer going to work. It's not working. So this
Mm.
has to go and this has to be replaced by XYZ, but this can stay. And then I transformed all of that into an article and I put it on MSME Hub. And then the editorial associate comes back to say, your article had engagement. What did I write about? What's your profit at the end of a business period? It can be a year, it can be a quarter, it can be half year, it can be a month.
There
How
you
can
go.
you reinvest that profit
There
into
you go.
something bigger for your business? Don't just spend all of it. There are things I gave them different examples. And I thought my one page article was not, I actually thought that people already knew when I was writing
Mm.
that. But I just felt okay, let me still put it there for those who don't know. But guess what? A lot of people actually didn't know that this could work. A lot of people
There you
didn't know
go.
about this information. A lot of people who even knew had forgotten.
There you go.
And so they got reminders, and it was just something fantastic. And I just told myself, I'm going to do
Yeah.
more articles. I just haven't had the time. Don't worry, I'm going to work on it this year. This year, we're
Yes,
not
you have to.
agreeing for anybody.
Rooting for you, rooting for you. You got
Thank
this. You
you. So
got
I
this.
think that's really one of the things that I just told myself that yes, very amazing feedback from you for that. Knowledge sharing sessions, amazing, amazing, amazing. There's something I wanted to do. I really hope I use this as my cue for Mother to
I
have
hope so
mentioned
too.
it. This is my cue.
This
This is
is
the
your cue.
universe telling me I need to do it. I wanted to do a knowledge sharing session for people who aspire into managerial roles because some of us we didn't get prep. We just the opportunity came. People thought that we could do it. The people we were reporting to thought that.
Yes.
And again, this is just okay. I think today is a day of giving flowers because personal brand is not just what you have done; it's also the people that have enabled you.
I wanted to say that. Can I say something about that,
Yes,
please?
please. Yes.
So another reason why I created something for personal branding for impact is I am not on the table. I will never support being somebody who is a what I call a glory hunter. I learned that term in my first organization, and that's somebody who
Glory
takes all the
hunter.
credit for himself without giving credit to the people who he has worked with. Now, as we know, no matter how much your contribution is on a project, it involves more than one person.
Yep.
And I tell people that when you bring other people in and you give them their flowers, like we say, we give them credit, you acknowledge them. It actually also is of benefit to you. If you do a
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn post now,
Mm-hmm.
and you can imagine the reach, even from an algorithm perspective. Imagine the reach of an article that you write about that only includes yourself, and the reach of an article that you write about that mentions other
Other
people.
people.
And these people, like Mariam has rightly said, once they know that you acknowledge them and you value them, they will contribute to your success and your growth. And that's great for your personal brand. So that when it comes to the time to write about you, people don't have to start lying on LinkedIn. That
Exactly.
they write about you, they'll not go and be seeking forgiveness at night. Don't be that person. Involve people, acknowledge them, and
That's deep.
showcase the work.
That's so deep. Like really seeking forgiveness. Please, audiences, before we continue, this conversation is so interesting. So interesting. I'm looking at them and I'm like, where did the time fly
Yeah, I'm
to?
telling you,
If you
we need
have
to have.
questions, do we have questions in the chat box or Modera?
No, we don't have
No.
questions. We
Ah,
just have the
okay.
comments of people following and liking
Oh
and
Lord,
being
thank
merry.
you. Thank you so
Yes.
much. So I think that now that we know that we don't have questions, maybe we should then come back to how I really want to learn more. And I'm so happy that I had connected with you by the side
Yes.
about how I
My
wanted to do
G.
my
What's
I
that
want
thing they do? What's that thing they do? What's that thing?
actually, guys, I'm not joking. I actually connected with the mother like late last year on my personal brand. As much as I think I'm doing so
Yeah.
much, I still needed to talk to a brand specialist, because truth is that you can be doing it wrongly, right? Or you
Yeah.
may be doing it rightly, but you're not doing it in the way that should give you that amazing result,
Yeah.
which, if done correctly, you would get the result. So I wanted to do it rightly first. Then I also wanted to do it in a way where the pace is synonymous with the input and the work that I have put in getting my personal brand on. So I spoke to her about this, and coincidentally, she had already prepared something for the likes of us who
Oh no,
wants to,
they don't do
who
this
wants
anymore.
to build a mother now, eh? Who wants to build our personal brand. So I'm going to give her the floor. You have 3 minutes,
3 minutes.
right? Yes, to
Okay.
talk about this course. How do we accept? Just tell us about it. Then, like, sell
Okay.
it to us. Yes. Then,
Awesome. So
elevator pitch.
personal branding for impact is a course that I started that helps professionals and entrepreneurs to show up authentically, create value, and make a difference in the areas that they're most passionate about.
Hmm.
Right? It's a 4 week course. It's going to start at the end of February. And when you sign up for it, you get to join our live sessions. You get to interact with a couple of people who have the same kind of purpose as you do. And also, you get something fantastic, which is a personal brand manual. So, you know how you work for organizations and they give you a manual, or you buy a freezer and you have a manual?
Yeah.
You get a personal brand manual for this course. And what that helps you to do is that it helps you to state like your values, your focus areas, the kind of work that you want to create. It has a schedule in there. So it's like your compass, it's like your
Wow.
guide. So as I take you through the different parts of the course, you write all this down. And anytime you want to go back to it, you go back to it, you say, so for example, if somebody calls you for something, which is something we also discussed in the course, how do we vet speaking engagements? Should I take
Mm.
on everything, or should I take things that are relevant to my focus areas and relevant to my target audience? So basically, the modules of the course are everything from, in fact, when you start week one like this, you say, why is this auntie after us? Because the very first thing we do is that we go into our values. What kind of person are you?
Okay.
Are there things that you need to change? Are there personality traits that you need to look at? Are you a good person? What are your objectives? So
Hmm.
that's where we start. We lay a solid foundation. Then we go into things around your target audience, breaking that down. What are the different areas you can go through? Then we go into the content platforms. What platforms are available to you? How should you use them? Then we go into creating stress free content. And
Hmm.
that's where we have repurposing. I've written something in 1992. How do I bring it to 2024? Right?
Wow.
How do I
Amazing.
make sure that the things that I create stand the test of time? I tell people that with 2 to 3 solid hours in a month, you have the content that you need on for any of your chosen platforms for at least a month,
Hmm.
just by doing 2 to 3 hours of very good work, right? So we go into that as well. And then we go into the channels. I don't believe people need to be on every channel. So we go into the kind of channels that will be relevant to you and that will be easy for you to stick with. And
Hmm.
then we also go through things around privacy controls. What kind of
Wow.
information will I put out there that will put my family at risk? What
Yeah.
kind of information will I put out there that will put that would put my organization at risk? What is confidential information? What is not confidential information? And then, because it's very important for us to go through these things, so we go through them during the course as well, and we write that down. Because I always tell people that with personal branding for impact, I always help you to dig into how personal should personal branding be.
Hmm.
If I'm sharing my experience, does it have to be my experience from my parlor, or should it be
Mhm.
from my experience from my office table? We need to be able to differentiate. I don't need
Yes.
to know your personal business because you want to build a personal brand.
Yeah.
So basically, that's the course. And then when we finish, if you're going for the immersive option, we have a 4 week accountability group. That's a coaching session. I review your content. I make sure that you actually do the good work, and we take it from there. Just to speak about a testimonial from somebody, she calls our accountability sessions the love sessions, because she says Dara is so passionate, and that enthusiasm really gets her going. So the level of passion, she too should be like, yes, 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 I can do it, I can do it. And somebody interestingly used their personal manual, brand manual that I taught them. They used it to create a profile, that they used to create a CV, that they used to apply
Oh,
for a role.
wow.
And they got the role. So,
Oh,
and that's not even my intention for the course,
fantastic.
but it was just something great that came out of it. So I will put I've put the link to join the course. You'll see it in the comment section. I don't know why it's only my comments that we're seeing, but you see it in the comment section right now. It's where it's 100,000 for just the 4 week sessions,
Mhm.
and then 150,000 if you want to do the immersive option. But we're running an early bird discount for
Great.
15%, which gives you 15% off. And then in addition to that, I have decided that because Miriam is so fabulous with the work she does, we are setting up a discount code tonight with the name Mariam. And if you use that discount code, you get an extra 5% off. Let's do this.
I
So,
cannot use Mariam. Can I also use the code
of
for
course,
my
Mariam can use the code for Mariam. So I'll
Mariam?
set that up and I'll share it with
Oh
Mariam.
my
And as we're reposting this session, you'll see it on. Follow Mariam.
God.
Follow
Thank
Mariam because
you. Thank you.
she's got access.
I feel so honored. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I just wanted
You're
to quickly
welcome.
say something that you said. I don't need to know your personal business because you're creating a personal brand. And somebody
Absolutely.
says he thinks he's kicked out. Well, already 1 minute after 3 o'clock. Do you think that
Yeah, we might have ended. We might have ended on LinkedIn. I'll check again. LinkedIn is about an hour for the session, but
oh my
YouTube
god.
will continue it. YouTube will
Okay.
continue.
So I think we can actually round up in another 1 to 2
Yes,
minutes. This has
yes.
been a fantastic session. Thank you so much, so much. Omodara Adediran. Thank you. For guys, if you're still watching and when this gets to YouTube, of course, you're still watching at this time, you know how to register. The link has been shared in the comment section. Please don't forget, like those influencers say, please don't forget to use the discount code Mariam to get a further 5% off the
Yep.
total bills after an early bird discount of 15%. Your finance people, you know the importance of early birds. You know it. So go back to your budget for this month, tweak it in. Quickly before you go, Modera, is there option to pay some amount of money to take advantage of this early bird and then pay the others? Do you have like a
Yes,
staggered
yes. So we
payment
have
process?
so we have payment plans. So we have payment
Okay.
plans. Once you go to the link bit.ly/byt join, I'll put it in the comment section. You will see the options for instrumental payment. So you can do that as well. So you can take
Fantastic.
advantage.
Because
Yes.
our LinkedIn brothers, brethren, and sisters have left the conversation, we would like to have everybody then end formally. Thank you so much, Adedino or Modara, for your time. Thank you to me also, Mariam, for holding such an amazing
Thank you.
conversation. Thank
Yes, it
you for
was
the
really good.
discount code. I really do enjoyed everything.
Yeah.
Thank you
Oh,
so
people are
much.
still here.
People are still here.
Tunde just
Yes.
said really
Really
insightful.
insightful
Okay, you
session.
got that. Yeah, yeah. So
Yes. Thank
awesome,
you
awesome.
so much. So, on
Thank you,
this note,
Tunde, for
Modara, do you have a
joining.
final word for our audience so we can leave?
Yes, all I would say is that in 2024, I won't say what Mariam has been saying, but in 2024,
No
let's
grief
build.
for anybody.
Okay, I let go. I let go. I give up. I give up. Thank you so much, Mariam. This was amazing. Always so good speaking with you. You're a gem, and
Thank
I can't
you.
wait to see the amount of benefits people will get from the
Thank
personal
you.
brand that you will create this year. Well
Thank
done.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on that
Thank
note,
you.
is an amazing, have a beautiful afternoon from the both of us. We wish you an amazing
Yes.
and prosperous 2024. Keep being you, keep doing you, but do it the right way. And see you in
Yes.
class.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Ending the live stream.
Bye.